Hi everyone, I'm G-Law with Coby Maeir for Lantern TV. Today we'll be discussing Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament preview. So let's get right into it. Coby, what do you think of Ohio State's defenses going into the tournament this year? The defense efficiency has been pretty poor. 124st in Ken Palm's defensive efficiency rankings. How do you think they can improve on that?
Well, their defense, obviously, as you just mentioned, has not been good, and part of that has been their inability to control the defensive rebounds. They allow too many defensive rebounds, especially against Michigan on Sunday. They need to be able to hold teams to one possession because these teams are really good, and if you give them multiple possessions, they're going to burn you on offense. So you can't allow offensive rebounds, at least too many of them. A couple are okay, but if you get into the double-digit area, a place where Ohio State has been multiple times this season, you're not going to win very many games.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think also Coach Holtman really needs to figure out that zone versus man defense, against Michigan, Nebraska. He tried to play that zone against good shooting teams, and it just did not work out well. Those were their only two losses in the month of March, so we'll see how he handles that going into the Big Ten tournament. Let's transition into offense. Ohio State has the number 3 offensive efficiency in the Big Ten, shooting 4 to 7.5% from the field, second in the Big Ten. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, this team can score with anybody in the country, right? You have E.J. Liddell, all-big team. You have freshman of the year, Malachi Branham. So these guys they're going to show up. You know they're going to show up, but it's about the secondary and tertiary scores that this team has. Like Zedke, if he's able to play. Kyle Young's not able to play tomorrow night, but if he is able to come back. And also down low, a guy like Joey Brunk, who's really emerged over these past 2 games against Michigan and Michigan State. And then guard play from Jamari Wheeler and Michi Johnson if his ankle is well enough to play during the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what you said about Brunk taking over that role down low for Key and Young while they're both out. I do think also Jamari needs to step up. Jamari, Ahrens both had really good games in March in the last 3 games. Ahrens with that 12 points against Michigan on those 4 threes. If he can continue that production that he had from last season, shooting lights out, they're really going to need that going into the tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, Ahrens hit 4 threes against Michigan. If he can get to anywhere close to where he was last year in terms of how lethal he was from 3, Ohio State is going to be able to space out their offense so much more, and E.J. Liddell and Malachi Branham are going to get more lanes, and E.J. Liddell won't get doubled as much on the post.
Yeah. So I'm curious to hear who's your difference maker outside of Liddell, obviously.
I mean, Liddell, Branham, I got to go with Zedke because we saw him come into the Michigan game. He played in 4 minutes, 4 points, 2 offensive rebounds, a block, and an assist. So he was able to come in for a very short period of time and make a massive impact on the game. So if he's able to prorate that production into a larger amount of minutes, then Ohio State is going to have a very good chance to do some damage in this tournament.
Yeah, and they did say Key was a game-time decision for Thursday. So I think if he's back, they'll definitely have better chances going into Friday's game, hopefully if they beat the winner of Penn State and Minnesota tonight. I think my difference maker is actually Justin Ahrens. Like we said, he was shooting lights out last season, had those 4 threes against Michigan. If he can continue that level of 3-point production, and we know Ahrens only shoots 3s, so if he can start knocking those shots down a little bit more, I think Ohio State has some good chances. How do you feel about Ohio State's overall chances of winning the Big Ten?
Well, it all comes down to 2 things: defensive rebounding and taking care of the basketball. If they're able to contain the ball on defense and not allow too many offensive rebounds and limit the turnovers that they have, they can beat any team in the conference and any team in the country. We saw it when they beat Illinois a couple weeks ago in Champaign. They beat Duke when Duke was the number 1 team in the country. So it's all up to that. But if they don't do those things, there's no reason that they'll beat Penn State or Minnesota on Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hit all those points right there, Cobe. I think Friday night, assuming they beat Penn State or Minnesota tomorrow night, going into Friday night, it's going to be a tough matchup versus Purdue. You got Jaden Ivey and Zach Edey leading that offense. Edey's having outstanding rebounding percentage numbers, and Ivey's obviously big first team Big Ten. If they can beat Purdue, I think they have a really good shot at winning the Big Ten tournament, even with Wisconsin and Illinois in the Big Ten. The Buckeyes, I think they can really clinch this tournament if they're able to beat Purdue on Friday night.
Absolutely. I mean, beating Purdue is a tall task, but they almost did it back in West Lafayette. It took a Jaden Ivey buzzer beater 3. So Ohio State is going to have a tall task tomorrow night, whether they play Penn State or they play Minnesota. Both of those teams gave them tough games earlier this season, and if they are able to win tomorrow night, we all know about Purdue, what it's going to take to beat them on Friday.
Exactly. For Coby Maeir, I'm G Law. Till next time.